Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
The Future Connected conclave held in New Delhi gave visitors the perfect opportunity to explore some of the leading IoT solutions across diverse sectors for a connected world, along with a host of insightful sessions on how technology is transforming every aspect of our lives.
So when we are talking about connected factories, we are actually talking about the connectedness on two dimensions. The first dimension is relatively easy to understand. That is basically the vertical dimension, right from the shop floor to the top floor, which means that our machines are connected. The lines which have multiple machines, they are interconnected. And then they actually get connected to the factory automation systems. They are then connected eventually to the ERP systems. They are connected to decision support systems. They are connected with business logics, and decision making becomes easier. The even more exciting part is actually the horizontal integration, and that is when I'm saying that not just all the activities that go on within the manufacturing or a factory, but also extending the integration to our supply chain management on either side, on the supply of raw material side as well as the finished goods sides, and connecting eventually to our dealers, eventually to our markets, eventually to connecting to our customers, getting their data backwards real time, and that influences our production scheduling. That is what I'm talking about today. What as Bosch we do, we actually have a very unique position in this system. We call it our dual strategy. On the left hand side you see all the technologies or the building blocks that are required for Industry 4.0, and on the right hand side, as leading user, we also use Industry 4.0 in our own manufacturing plants. We have more than 270 plants worldwide and more than 15 plants in India. We have committed ourselves to a journey of Industry 4.0 that in 3 years time frame we would have all our plants Industry 4.0 compliant. And the recipes that we actually cook, bake, the good ones, we also offer it to our customers. Talking about solutions, it's very important to understand is that we are talking about platform-based solutions. We are talking about scalable solutions, because always I can start very small, but that solution should have a power of scalability when I'm trying to do it for the plant, multiple plants across the world, and so on. And we talk about copy and paste solutions, but these copy and paste solutions have to be really smart, because no two plants are at the same starting point, and therefore a solution would definitely work in other plant as well, but we'll have to adapt that solution a little bit to make it fit into that plant. Humans are always at the center of Industry 4.0. When automation increases, are we looking at job losses? Yes, of course we are looking at job losses, because every repetitive type of job, low technology job which is just repetitive, would be taken away by automation. Guaranteed, job loss would happen. But at the same time, new jobs will be created which require higher skill. And the good news is that the number of new jobs that will be created are far more than the jobs that which will be actually killed because of automation. But ladies and gentlemen, I would like to also leave you with one thought here, is that today our factory operators are well trained. They have stood in front of those machines for 10, 20, 30 years. Today, if you walk into a plant and you ask the guys, how do you know that this machine is producing in the right quality? Very often they will say, I can hear and tell you. The new generation, the digital natives, our children, they are not geared up to stand in front of, those for 10, 20 years in front of these machines and figure out. Good news is that technologies are here which will help us. And with that, I'd like to close my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a nice day.
I think Industry 4.0 is clearly here to stay, and I think as India and Indian manufacturing, Indian industry tries to become more and more competitive and be an integral part of the global supply chain, there is simply no running away from it. And let's take this discussion forward. And perhaps, Andreas, if you could, open the floor. Globally, what has been the key learning, that you can share with us? And when we talk about the future, tell us how has manufacturing changed in the last 10 years, and where will manufacturing be, let's say, 10 years down the line in 2027?
Let's say we are all amidst a revolution. This connected industry is a revolution because it has all signs of a revolution. It's disruptive, it's valid for all of us, and it means significant change in the way we work, we live, and we communicate. And if we look into the development in our industries, then we have to deal with the VUCA word. VUCA is known. VUCA: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So that means we have to deal with huge fluctuations also in our markets. And what is the right approach for that? So it means customized products play an even more important role. Today people expect customized products, but at mass production prices. And I4.0, or connected industry, from my point of view, is one of the solutions for that.
Raju, comment on that, because for smart manufacturing to work, we also need smart workforce. How are companies grappling with this? That's number one. And secondly, now as far as training of this or retraining is concerned, the onus lies with the private sector, or does the onus lie with the government?
We, even I'll tell you, especially in Toyota, including blue collar people, we could train them within 3 months for this kind of technology area. Also, our engineers who are working especially in maintenance and quality area, they very quickly they could adapt. So my understanding is, I think industry can take care of this training, and also the new engineers which we are receiving from the market, also they can, we can quickly train them, and they are also adaptable for this. So not so big issue. I think government point of view, not so big direct. I think there is no direct role at this moment. Only how to support academia is only one area maybe they can work.
All right. Divakar, comment on that. Is our curricula prepared to sort of, to take into account the kind of revolution that Andreas was talking about that's taking place in manufacturing? And has the government sort of accepted, or have they sort of accepted the reality that how the manufacturing of, let's say, 10 years ago is now undergoing this sharp revolution that he was talking about?
So the first thing is no. When I go to different colleges to give guest lectures and all other things, I basically see the huge gap that we are having at that point of time. Because we are moving to IoT devices, we are moving to robotics, we are moving to complete full automation of factories, but we are still learning 8085 in our colleges, and that's the microcontroller that we learn over there. No doubt there are different things that are over there as well, but the point here is, every single day there's a new technology that comes in, and every single year, if I look back into 2016, it looks like it's a decade-old technology which we were using back then. So first thing, the academia needs to be a part of this revolution. This is very, very important, because the top management, the VP, the CEO, they are not going to be the cornerstone of whatever is happening.
The ideas will come mostly from
the people who are on ground.
Shankar, now come into the discussion. While the productivity gains in adopting IoT and sort of embracing more technology for manufacturing is indisputed. But what happens to the short-term dislocation in employment?
I have a slightly different opinion to the whole thing, that it's not going to be that, jobs are going to totally get eliminated. It's just that the nature of jobs are going to change, and therefore there is the impetus on the industry to work together with the government or without the government as industry bodies, and started doing it with the National Skills Development Council and Ministry of Skill Development, etc., on bringing the right workforce that is required to be able to manage and live in this connected world. For example, there is in our organization, and I represent TVS Group, where we bring people, recruit people, and then put them, while they are working, we put them on some courses in which they are becoming, if I can use the word, industry ready. The other point here is that we may not have very high-end automation, and everything will happen through robotics or through without any manual intervention. There is going to be some amount of fit for purpose, fit for market, affordability issues that are coming into play when we are going to automate in India, and therefore I would not be a devil's advocate of saying that, all jobs will go away and it's going to be just robots working in India.
But you're in the automotive space, and you would need all your suppliers, the entire supply chain to be in sync. So here are large manufacturers also helping your suppliers and your sub-suppliers to really sort of embrace more and more technology. How challenging is that?
I'll tell you some example. Like for example, supplier, we have 140 suppliers, tier 1. So when we especially adopting the logistic area, digitalization with RFID, we had many challenges. So we have to make special meeting with the management of these people, and we have to communicate everything, and we have to communicate the benefit which in mid to long term will get. With that condition, we could start that. So both sides, dealer side as well as supplier side, both sides we can do standalone many technologies we are adopting now. With not exactly the connected, image is not there across the value chain at this moment. But we can do it as a standalone, very clear solution based on the ROI. So like that activity we are doing, but they are cooperating. Tier 1 is cooperating. I think tier 2 is a big challenge. I agree. Tier 2, tier 3 I think is really big challenge.
Now let's take a real case example when we talk about India. So India is going to bypass BS5 entirely. So we're going to jump from BS4 to BS6. How prepared is industry, for this? And do you feel that with more and more IoT, with more and more technology, industry will be better prepared to respond quickly to the sudden regulatory changes that may take place?
Some years ago, we at Bosch, and I think many companies worldwide, they have, all the CEOs, they have read this very nice book, The Machine That Changed the World. And everyone has tried, more or less, to implement production systems, trying to copy and paste the Toyota system. Not even one was really successful. Because it's nothing which you can copy and paste. It's something which you only can understand and to adapt it what you need. So the same is the case for I 4.0. So that means here, in order to get prepared, and we are not only talking about that India wants to leapfrog or will leapfrog from BS4 to BS5 within 3 years. By the way, this has taken in Germany 8 years. That means there's a huge challenge for the entire industry, not only for the OEMs and for Bosch, for the entire industry. I think here this connectivity is one of the decisive tools. If we succeed to implement it in the entire value stream, including our suppliers, including our customers, then I think we can make it. We can make it happen.
All right, great note to end this. Andreas, Devakar, Shankar, Raju, thank you very much, and thanks very much.
(2022). That's the year when India celebrates 75th anniversary of its independence. And that's also the year when we hope to touch the milestone of doubling our farmers' incomes. So it seems that time is absolutely right for IoT in agriculture. So let me begin with you, sir. Do you think we are ready for applying IoT in agriculture right away? Or we still have a long, long way to travel?
We're happy that IoT is being discussed in the context of agriculture, which is so very important in this country. Just to give a dimension, 10% of the global food production by smallholders that are 85% in this country. That's the challenge. You also mentioned small farmers but big canvas. Now the point is we have become food secure now, but the point you also made in the context of climate change, it is stress agriculture. Unless we get into specialty agriculture, smart agriculture, it's going to be very difficult. That's where we are talking of smart input management, seed to market, a complete value chain where we can enhance efficiency.
Mr. Siv Kumar, let me ask you here. He says it's time to go smart, but going smart is also pretty expensive. And when it comes to something like agriculture, where input cost is very high, how easy do you think it will be for us to go smart in agriculture?
If you say that the value is higher, then cost per se is not so much of an issue. And yes, infrastructure is still evolving. Farmers still are small and probably will remain small for the foreseeable future. The trick is in experimenting to start with. While the cost may still be high, they have come down very substantially over the last few years. But first experimenting into what kind of imaginative solutions will work for the farming. And by the time you refine it, it will take some time. By the time infrastructure evolves, you should be ready with your innovation in agriculture on one side. And IoT in agriculture doesn't necessarily mean only on farming. Certainly in precision farming it will help, but also along the whole value chain in terms of what you do with logistics and all that, so the total pie size goes up. So therefore I think rather than looking at small being a constraint and lack of infrastructure as an issue, I think IoT is something which will enable the smaller farmers.
Mr. Whitbread, what I want to ask you is, he said a challenge can also become a big opportunity. Have you seen examples of this happening?
I think it depends a lot on the farmers you're talking about. From my own country, Australia, commercial farmers, digital agriculture is now part and parcel of management for precision agriculture, for marketing, for insurance. In the context of India, it's a bit different. So smallholder farmers, they're resource poor. So we have to tailor solutions for these types of farmers that are often illiterate, have very small holdings, they're facing big risk. And I think there are some successes. There's successes around bringing weather advisories in apps. There's successes around connecting farmers to markets and prices. There's a number of successes, but they're not putting sensors in a field and then the farmers then measuring it. It's about a business that's using some kind of technology over many, many farmers, and it's not farmers paying for it at this stage. It'll have to be through different means.
Mr. Goswami, what do you see as the biggest challenge?
Yeah, when I look at this category of, or this segment of farmers, I think the biggest challenge today is to convince them about the outcomes, right? The willingness to take risk is always linked to what outcomes am I going to get. And what we are looking forward is to have use cases which are successful and demonstrated. Because in the agri community, a lot of word of mouth advertisement or promotion happens, because if you have a success with one farmer and you have a progressive farmer who's willing to try it out, the neighbors are always looking out to what whoever around is working on and what success they are getting it. And there are very clear success stories where once the results have been demonstrated, now all the others were very keen and willing to emulate the same success stories to get the same results. Yeah, so second part was affordability, which Mr. Shivkumar already mentioned, is that we have to look at innovative business models of how to do that. I think if we can combine these two, we would look at a higher adoption rate of also new technologies, IoT or otherwise.
Mr. Sivakumar, the minute you talk of innovative ideas, and the minute you talk of Internet of Things in agriculture, you have all these beautiful images of GPS-operated manless tractors or maybe sensors in the fields and drones surveying the fields and carrying out cattle count. But in a country like India, how far do you think this is possible? Or should we even be aiming at those new technologies?
So I think all these examples that you gave essentially are technologies that will improve the precision with which you are applying inputs or following other agronomic practices. So in terms of the need, certainly it exists. That there is an increased need for precision farming approaches. You take water, for example, which is a resource that is depleting extremely fast. And when the farmer realizes that the only way I can grow a better crop on my farm or get 2 or 3 crops in a year is by using water more efficiently. And one way to do it is actually measure through equipment, sensors when the costs go down, and release water as per that micro-irrigation system. Then I can get 2 or 3 crops instead of a 1 crop. I think that's a very clear appreciation of what happens.
So do you think these are the kind of things which would,
Indian farming, as all of us know, is basically integrated. A typical farmer has a piece of land, an amount of livestock, some fish and so on. So this is where we need to further strengthen that kind of a bonding with the farmer. So the natural resources, soil, water. Now today, farmer very clearly wants a weather forecast, a crop forecast and a market forecast. Very 3 clear demands from the farming community. Now this is where IoT ecosystem, that's where we are trying to validate in some areas with lot of success where people were growing low-cost cereals. They have diversified into protected cultivation with high value, maybe capsicum, tomato, whatever you call it, and the income levels have gone up by 4 to 5 folds. And that's where he wants exactly input management, smart input management, and as I said, the inefficiencies to be reduced.
Mr. Goswami, I wanted to ask you, since you deal extensively with things like data inputs and also things like pest management, measuring the fertility of soil, and also providing all this data-related solutions to the farmer. How much of a difference do you think it makes when a farmer is equipped with all this information and then he sets about to do his task?
We look at, let's say, floriculture. We have worked with farmers who are growing rose, right? If we want to increase his earnings, so we have to look at how he can earn per stem of rose. Now, the price of the stem of rose, apart from particular seasonal demand, depends on the quality, the health of the rose, and whether there are any disease marks, any dark spots. So if we can do a right kind of prediction in terms of disease outcomes or likely infestations, and if we can prevent that at the right point of time, and this is exactly where data plays a huge role, right? Not only just the historical data, but also real-time data. So real-time data comes from your IoT systems, and the historical data in terms of when are the likely occurrences to happen. The analysis of this, whether you use analytics or machine learning or whatever new technologies are available, if you can apply that, these are real outcomes for today farmers trying to improve their quality of life.
I think that's all we have time for now, but thank you very much. Thank you all of you for coming for this discussion. And I would like to thank the audience also for your patience. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.